goats grazing over there, and he finds out a solution to supply for the food. So struggle for the food begins on the island. Now here he has to face the problem of residency, accommodation. So he begins to build a house with the help of the raw material which he finds over there. He finds on that island birds, animals, and vegetations. So he is completely surrounded by nature. So his journey begins in the natural surrounding. For the first time, when Crusoe lands on that island, he sets up a cross, and on that cross he writes something in capital letter. He inscribes some instruction on the capital letter. He writes the date of his arrival on that island so that he can keep the track of the time. Secondly, he begins to build his own shelter. When he has prepared his small hut, when he meets his survival need, I mean food, water, and shelter, he starts thinking something else. So by this time, he used to learn so many things. Life itself is a school of education for him. He starts learning how to prepare food. He starts learning how to train his hands in the art of pottery. He starts learning the basket making skill and many other things. I mean, he learns in the school of life. Later on, he, just like a surveyor, writes his experiences and jot down his experiences in a journal. He keeps a journal, and in that journal he writes each and every detail, every experience that he happens to face on that island. One by one, date by date, day by day, everything is mentioned in the journal. So he is keeping a record of time, track of time. Now he thinks to explore the island. Just like a surveyor, Crusoe gives us the detail that the island is 150 feet lengthy, 100 feet or 100 meter broad. Just like a surveyor, land surveyor, he gives us the detail of each and everything. He finds that the parrots were there, goats were there, other animals were there. He starts taming them. At one point of time, what happens? Life on the island was a life of alienation, loneliness. So loneliness is, of course, loneliness may fill a person with boredom. He may get tired of life. At least human love, human touch should be there in the company of the life. But unfortunately, he doesn't get. One day, when Crusoe slowly and gradually he finds that the life on the island is not full of weariness, full of problems, but he finds out a reasonable solution. And here yes, this is the island. Why do we admire Robinson Crusoe? Because when he finds out a reasonable solution that life on this island is full of natural surroundings, and he adjusts himself. I mean, human being for the first time finds out that he should learn to live life in tunes with the natural things. So he adjusts himself with the animals, with the birds, with the vegetations, and so many things. So one day, when he gives us the detail, the way he used to cut down the cedar trees. He gives inmost details that the tree was very huge, 22 meters long, 5 feet 10 centimeter was the diameter of the tree, and he puts a very hard labor to cut down those trees. After cutting down these trees, he prepares a canoe. C-A-N-O-E. Canoe means a very small boat, but it was a huge kind of a boat prepared by him because he wanted to run away from that isolated world. And when he begins his journey by traveling into the boat, he couldn't paddle that boat properly, and because of the current of the waves, once again he was tossed to the ground, tossed to the island, and once again the boat was scattered into pieces. So he tries his level best to run away from the isolated world, but unfortunately he cannot. So he finds that let us continue living the life on the island, because as it is said that to live life is the situation of bliss rather than any other thing. So he once again continues with his journey on that island. One day, to his great surprise, when he happens to visit that seashore, he finds the footprint, and that footprint was looking very different. I mean, he makes out that this is the footprint not of a man and neither of even an angel, but he finds out that this is the footprint of one of the cannibals, which he must have heard in the past. So he now is acquainted with the idea that this is the island around which the cannibals live, and now he is constantly threatened by the attack of cannibals. So he was an intelligent man, so he arms himself with all weapons, and by that time he also prepares an underground house where he keeps his goats, and he himself sometimes used to hide from the attack of cannibal. So he finds a shipwreck, and when he goes for the investigation, he finds nothing on that ship. In the evening, he happens to listen to some gunshots, and in the morning when he goes to that ship, he doesn't find anything. Everything has turned into debris, a complete loss. But he couldn't make out that this was the attack by cannibals. One day, he happens to see a group of 30 cannibals. They were wandering on the shore, and they have captured 3-4 men. One man has already been killed, another was taken for the slaughtering, but anyhow that man gives a slip to cannibals and runs away into the direction of Crusoe. So Crusoe finds that man tries to run away from the attack of cannibals. That man comes to the rescue, comes to the hut of Crusoe. Crusoe, with the help of his weapons, kills one of the cannibals and defeats the rest of them. And this is how he happens to save a man from the attack of cannibals. So this is the first incident where Crusoe happens to be face to face with the cannibals. Cannibals, they are the man-eaters, and they love human flesh. Especially, they love the flesh of their enemies. So Crusoe finds that life on this island is interesting as well as dangerous. So it is this is what we find in our life also. So he saves one man, and he gives name to that man as Friday. Deliberately the name Friday is given so that Crusoe can remember that this particular man was attacked from cannibal on Friday. The day was Friday. So he gives the name Friday. And Friday surrenders him, offers his services to Crusoe, and there we will find that Crusoe teaches him a bit and pieces of English language. But it is interesting to know what he teaches and how he teaches. Crusoe, for the first time, teaches him only first word, and that is master. the first word he teaches to Friday is master. Of course, both of them, they live very happily on this island. One more time, Crusoe happens to see a group of cannibals, 21 cannibals this time, and they were taking away a few people with them. So Crusoe happens to visit the island, and on that island he finds the remains of the human flesh, sometimes hands, sometimes legs, sometimes head, sometimes eyes, sometimes flesh, human flesh. So he finds that this island has been a rendezvous where cannibals used to enjoy human flesh. And later on he finds a group of, he along with Friday, he decides that let us go and visit the island of cannibals. But before they go to the island of cannibals, a ship comes, a small boat, canoe, comes there, and 21 cannibals land on the shore. This time also they have 3 victims with them, and Crusoe once again, along with the help of Friday, he shoots one by one all the cannibals, and cannibals were killed, and 3 men were saved from the attack of cannibals. Now these 3 men, along with Friday and Crusoe, start living life on this island. Crusoe prepares food for them, provides them the complete services, food, water and shelter. And then with their conversation, Friday becomes very happy because he comes to know that the 3 men whom they have saved, among them one of is Friday's father. So Friday happens to meet his father. This is how the life on the island goes on. And one more important account of this text is that now Crusoe, with the help of these 4 men, Friday and the remaining 3 men, 5 people, wants to leave that island. So they are in search of a ship. So Crusoe requests Friday's father to explore the journey of the sea and sees a ship, and 3 men along with Friday's father go to seize a ship, and they brings an English ship over here, and Crusoe and the rest of the people get chance to escape from the island. And we will see that the treatment which is given to Friday, the treatment which is given to the boy, his name was Zuri, who was initially, we have seen that he was sold away to that Portuguese man. Later we will find that Friday is very intelligent. Friday is a mature person, and Friday, with the help of Friday, Crusoe comes to know that cannibals live quite near to that island, and they encountered the island, and cannibals were killed. And we will find that the text Robinson Crusoe, Defoe keeps on narrating the accounts, each pages after pages, and at the end of the fiction we will find that Robinson Crusoe, Crusoe and Friday, get some opportunity to run away from that island. Crusoe returns to England, and he meets one of his widow friends and tells everything, and in course of time once again he happens to visit the island for the second time. For the third time, when he happens to visit that no man's island, he finds that the island has emerged into a colony. Many people reside over there. Now everything is fine. They have prepared a sort of system. So apparently, when we look at the plot of this novel, we will find that the novel gives us inmost account of Crusoe's life, how he begins life, how he manages for shelter, how he teaches birds and animals and Friday even English language, what does it teach and all that. But we will find that in the garb of the story, in the guise of the story, there can be different layers, different meanings of the story. It can be taken, Robinson Crusoe can be taken as a myth at one point of time. It can be taken as an allegory. It can be taken as a story which gives a superb message. It is Robinson Crusoe is not a character, I should say, but he is rather all what we are, all human beings. He is a representative of the mankind. So we will see that what are the symbols, what are the thematic preoccupations, and how the mythological interpretations are connected with Robinson Crusoe. The first is, and when we think that Robinson Crusoe is a myth, then we can say that Crusoe disobeys his father because father wanted him to take up his career as a lawyer. In the beginning he follows the advice of his father, but later on he begins his sea journey. So we will say that for the first time Crusoe disobeys his father. And when he disobeys his father, he was thrown from the world of civilization to the world of barbarism. And this is what we can see in Milton's Paradise Lost, or we can see the myth of Eve and Adam. When Adam for the first time disobeys the advice of God, he was forbidden to taste the fruit of knowledge. But Eve keeps on insisting him, and he tastes the fruit of knowledge, and he invites the curse. So this is how he was thrown from the heaven to the hell. So civilization, a civilized world to the barbaric world. This is the first interpretation of Robinson Crusoe, because Crusoe is also thrown from the civilized world of London society to the barbaric world of No Man's Island. Second important interpretation is that there is a sense of I should say remorse, where he feels that confession is one of the biggest stages of the life, and Crusoe in his heart of the heart feels that he has disobeyed the God, and so he comes on this island